Having been raised in a home that loves VW and Mazda, I wasn't really sure what to expect from this blue oval. My, does it deliver though! Hi guys, Eric here and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be having a look at this 2013 Ford Focus ST1 manual. It is extraordinarily quick and beautiful, especially from the front. Is it a good all-rounder though? A really big thank you to the accommodating, thoughtful and helpful staff here at ASJ Motors. They have a huge selection of quality used cars located in two locations in the Overberg region. One is in the industrial area of Hermanus, the other is located on the main road of Verliersdorp. They are open for business, so be sure to check out their catalogue, link in the description box below. Locally, the Focus ST's history is really interesting and unique compared to the rest of the world. It all started with the Focus's predecessor, the Escort. It was first introduced to the world in 1967, with the Mark II becoming available locally in 1975. It was available with a 1.3 and 1.6 litre petrol engine, with a top-of-the-range 1600 pronounced 1600 Sport developing a healthy 62 kilowatt and 125 Nm of torque. Power was sent to the rear wheels via a 4-speed manual gearbox. Replacing the 1600 was the XR3 in 1981. It was built to take on the first-generation Golf GTI. At first, the XR3 had a twin-choke carburetor with a power output of 70 kilowatt, but it was fitted with fuel injection internationally by 1982, creating the XR3i, and power was bumped to 76 kilowatt. Locally, the Escort name was dropped, so it was only known as the XR3 and XR3i. In South Africa, the Escort was dropped to be replaced by the Laser and Meteor in 1986. It was produced by the South African Motor Corporation, or SAMCOR. Top-of-the-range sport models were fitted with Mazda's double overhead cam 16-valve engine that produced a very respectable 109 kilowatt and 184 Nm of torque. That is quick even by today's standards. The Escort came back to local shores in 1995 in its 6th iteration. Locally, at least, we didn't receive a sport model of this generation to match the Laser. Jump to 1998 and Ford decided to move away from the Escort name and introduce the space-age styled Focus. It looked completely different to the Escort it replaced. It looked suitably modern and cool, even in non-ST forms, which is a great thing because the first generation Focus ST170 looked rather understated but still attractive. Its naturally aspirated 2-litre Durotech petrol engine produced 127 kilowatt and 196 Nm of torque. Handling was praised and was considered much more of a driver's car than the bloated Mark IV GTI. In 2005, the second generation ST arrived, with more grown-up and conservative styling, but beautiful 18-inch wheels, a body kit and more colours available, including my personal favourite, the electric orange paint scheme. That wasn't the best part of the second generation Focus though. This came courtesy of the Volvo-derived 5-cylinder turbo petrol unit that produced 168 kilowatt and 320 Nm of torque. It sounded wonderful. Like its predecessor, it was also declared a fantastic driver's car by the motoring press. With this third generation ST, I'm a tad torn. Beauty is subjective, of course, but I love the look of this generation Focus. The front reminds me of an Aston Martin, the rear looks wide and menacing, the interior is a massive step up, but the characterful 5-cylinder engine was replaced by a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo. Thankfully, this doesn't mean a lack of power, not at all, with power being upped from 168 to 184 kilowatts and torque jumping from 320 to 359 newton meters. I also love the alloy wheel design wrapped in wider rubber and extended wheel arches. My favorite detail, however, has to be the Lamborghini Murcielago-inspired center exhaust outlet. It looks like it means business. I just wish it sounded as raucous as it looked. The performance blue color is absolutely gorgeous, but I would have personally preferred the electric orange carried over from the previous generation. Thankfully, there are a couple of those available on the market too. How does the interior hold up? If you have been in any Ford from this era, you would feel right at home in the Focus ST. I have driven the EcoSport a while back, and I can immediately tell that this car and that car is made by the same manufacturer. Now, I understand that this design language might not be everybody's cup of tea, but to me, it really works in the Focus ST. The interiors of its competitors are rather bland or cheap, or both. The Focus, however, strikes a great balance of quality and excitement. If I had to sum up this interior in one word, that word would be angular. The air vents are vertical and placed at an angle. All the buttons for the infotainment system are placed at an angle to point down to the climate controls. The door handle points down at an angle. Even the auxiliary switches on top of the dash are placed at an angle. Angles. And I really like it. It perfectly fits its target demographic, the racer. It backs it up with quality too, especially when you move over to the door panel. Personally, I really like the design of the door panel. It is exciting, but simplistic and unassuming. At the very top, the door is finished in soft touch plastics and you get a brushed metal door handle. All the windows are one touch up and down. The buttons feel extremely premium and they are accented with a thin strip of chrome. The door panel has another small piece of metal that helps to break all the black textures. What's more, you get a decently sized, usable door pocket, and the doors feel expensive. They are nice and heavy, and the hinge allows it to close smoothly. Now, I'm not sure why I feel like this, but a 4-spoke steering wheel just isn't sporty to me. A 3-spoke design has always filled that gap perfectly. Still, the Focus's steering wheel is not boring, not at all. It has a generous amount of silver trim and a silver ST badge at the bottom of the rim. Said rim is wrapped in leather and has perforated leather grips. It feels great. The buttons on the steering wheel look funky and angular, especially the cruise control cluster. While the circular buttons give decent feedback, the cruise control section feels like a cheap PlayStation controller. The dials follow the sporty theme too. White and red digits on a black background accompanied by red needles. Between the rev counter and speedometer, you have an analog temperature gauge as well as fuel gauge. Above that is a monocolored dot matrix driver's information display. It communicates a full trip computer, vehicle system check, vehicle settings, as well as driving aids. I really prefer the blue color to the orange and red colors you get in most other dot matrix displays. The stalks feel rather cheap to operate, but I love how clearly they are labeled and how easy they are to understand. One of the criticisms the Focus received had to do with the ergonomics of its infotainment system, but I must admit, once you get used to it, it is super easy to navigate. It also comes very well equipped. USB input, auxiliary port, a CD player and Bluetooth audio. The standard fit sound system packs a more than decent punch. The climate control panel really lets the sight down though. The dials feel rather cheap to use and doesn't belong in a car of this ilk. These seats feel amazing though. They must be some of my favorites in the entire industry. As quite a small guy, I find it rather difficult to find seats that truly hug me. Well, I found them. They are Recaro bucket seats that are wrapped in 2 textures of fabric and accented by grey top stitching, and I love them. Practicality is really impressive too. Storage-wise, you have access to a big dampened glove box, 2 deep front cup holders, a small coin compartment behind the gear lever, decently sized door pockets, a sunglass holder, as well as a multi-tiered storage compartment underneath the center armrest. More than enough for the average non-hoarder. In the back of the Ford Focus, things are alright. It does feel a tad dark and dingy back here because of the black roofliner and the wide front seats, but the window line is rather low, so kids get a good view out. There is a decent amount of knee room, and there is just enough headroom for an average adult. Storage solutions aren't bad either. You have storage pockets behind each front seat, admittedly small door pockets, and 2 storage trays on either side of the rear bench. I just wish I had my own center armrest, as well as cup holders. I don't have rear air vents either, but the latter is true for most of its rivals as well. The boot is rather small for its class though, at 316 litres. The Volkswagen Golf and Astra of the time bested it by at least 54 litres. You didn't have access to a 12-volt socket, but you did get 4 grocery hooks as well as an elastic to keep things in place. The seats fold almost completely flat in a 60-40 split, and the loading area grows to 1,101 litres. There is also no ridge that hinders through loading. There is quite a boot lip, but that was true for its rivals as well. Well, first impressions are yes they are. Even when driving around town, I feel a lot of feedback from the steering, very progressive brakes, excellent clutch control, and a snappy 6-speed gearbox. The ST also comes with heel hold assist, which makes uphill pullaways an absolute breeze. I just wish that I had some more driving aids at my disposal, like front and rear park distance control and a reversing camera. Sadly though, that is reserved for the ST3. Still, visibility is good all around, and the turning circle isn't too wide, so maneuvering around tight spaces won't be too much of a chore. Lastly, the low-speed ride is much more comfortable than I expected, even with these low-profile tyres. Out on the open road, and the ride remains relatively comfortable, especially for a car in its class. The engine is also more than powerful, so overtaking will not be an issue. Maximum torque comes in at under 2000 RPM, so you won't have to fiddle with the gearbox either. The only thing that I am noticing though is quite a bit of tyre roar and road noise entering the cabin. It isn't of unacceptable levels, but it might get tiresome after a while. Out on the twisties, and I am in love. This really is a driver's car. Let's start with the steering. It provides the perfect amount of feedback and is beautifully weighted. The brakes feel strong without feeling too grabby. There is a lot of grip available, and there isn't too much body lean in the corners either. Last but not least, this gearbox has short and direct throws, making rushing through the gears an absolute joy. The only thing that I'm missing is that 5-cylinder turbo engine from this car's predecessor, but that is only my personal opinion. The Focus ST is truly impressive. It is such a pity that South Africans don't get the new generation Focus nor its ST variant. It is more than worthy. Forgive its lack of driving aids, relatively small boot and cheap feeling climate controls, and you're presented with a car that will put a smile on your face every single time you drive it. If you're looking for some more kit on your ST, be sure to scan the market for an ST3. As always though, make sure that it has a full service history and that it has been well looked after. The Focus is reliable as long as you take care of it. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. If you enjoyed this review, remember to give it a thumbs up. It makes the world of difference to my channel. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel and get notified of upcoming reviews. I have loads more for you guys, so stay tuned. If you're interested in some behind the scenes footage and a peek into my personal life, make sure to follow me on social media, links in the description box below. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Until next time, bye.